Good morning, everyone. This is Polly, your librarian, and I wanted to take a few minutes this morning and go through and talk about the pieces of an original research article. What is it that we're looking for? What are we talking about? What do we need to do for this assignment? So when we talk about original research, if you look in your syllabus, you'll see that it has been defined as having 5 distinct pieces. Now, doing well on this assignment, 80% of it is following directions. So let's go through and let's look at the directions for the assignment. The first thing it says we have to have is an abstract. An abstract is a summary or overview of the article. We need to read through the abstract first to see if this article is going to interest us, if it's going to meet the criteria of the assignment. We don't want to just start reading articles because they can be quite lengthy and take quite a bit of time to go through and read. This is the fast way to see whether or not this article might be something we want to pursue. For this assignment, the abstract may or may not be labeled. And that'll be important. You'll see what I'm talking about in the next video when we look at an article. The next thing we need after the abstract is previous research. Now, when we're talking about academic research, the term we usually hear is literature review, which is often shortened to lit review. It is exactly what the name says it is, a review or listing of all the previous research on this specific topic. We can identify the literature review because it's going to be citations. They may or may not be in APA format. They may be in MLA. They may be in ASA. They may be in Chicago. They may be in who knows what format. But we're going to be looking for lots and lots of citations. Sometimes we'll only see 1 or 2 citations. It's going to be up to you to determine whether or not that person actually made an effort to go out and find all the research on this topic. The answer is probably not, because we want a fairly comprehensive literature review. What this does, it tells us that the author understands what's happening in the field, what research has been done, what do we know about it, what is our current understanding of things. Without it, we don't know if our author really knows what's going on or are they just making things up as they go. For this assignment, this is going to be unlikely to be labeled. The next section we need is called methods or methodology. This is going to be very specific in terms of what do we do and how do we do it. I'm going to take a 400 milliliter of water and I'm going to put 2 drops of blue food dye in. I will then take the glass stirring rod and I will stir it 6 times. For this assignment, we want this section to be labeled. Now by labeled, you'll see in the next video, I'm not talking about just the word method showing up in the article. I'm talking about a section header with big, bold letters. The next thing we need is going to be our results. This is the raw data. So in methods, we're going to find out what data do we think we will collect. The results will tell us exactly what data we have. So we want to look and we want to make sure that we collected the data we thought we were collecting. We will see statistics here. So we may see things that maybe as beginning researchers we're not really quite sure about. As we become more sophisticated in our skills, we're going to begin to look at things like, did they do the correct statistics? Did they do those statistics correctly? Did they draw the correct conclusions from the statistics? So this is going to be the numbers section. For this assignment, we want the section to be labeled. Here's the thing. As we move down through this, we're going to see articles where they might blend 2 or 3 of these sections together. That is probably going to be okay. But at the same time, when I read my directions are pretty specific. That I'm looking for 5 sections. If I were doing this assignment, the fastest and easiest way to do it is to look for an article with all 5 sections. The next section is called discussion. This is where they tell us what it all means. What did they learn? What does it mean? For me, when I get to the discussion section, this is where I often feel like they're finally speaking normal English. The first sections before this are all going to be very technical, very academic in nature. The discussion section is going to be slightly more relaxed. and I'm going to feel like I more easily understand. Now, does that mean that I should not read the earlier sections? Absolutely not. What you need to do, you need to read them and gather as much as you can from them. A technique that I find helpful is I read a paragraph and I will stop, and in the margin, I will take my little pen and I will add 1 or 2 words that summarize what they're talking. And then I'll read the next paragraph or section and I will do the same thing. And by the time I'm done, I have basically summarized the entire article in words that I understand. And it really helps with getting the meaning of things and understanding what the article is trying to say. For this assignment, we want a discussion section that is labeled. We want something that says discussion. Sometimes we will see the term conclusions. Conclusions is an interesting word, much like English is an interesting language. When we start looking at these research articles, one of the things we're going to come to realize is that even though they are social scientists, sociologists are very much scientists. These items are always going to be in this order. I will never find the literature review at the end of an article. I will never find the results at the beginning. They will always follow this pattern. As scientists, sociologists can be very literal. As I go through an article, I may see other sections. I may see an introduction. I may see a hypothesis. What are they trying to prove or disprove? Down here at the end of the article, I may likely see a section called conclusion. Much like the introduction is going to tell us what the article is going to say, the conclusion is going to be reviewing what was said and wrapping things up. When we see the conclusions up here in place of discussion, it can be a little confusing. Conclusions can also mean this is what we decided. Slightly different than I'm all done and I'm going home. So what we need to do if we see conclusions or conclusion is we need to read that section and see which way are they using the term.